guys and gals, welcome back to my show, Coffee with Lisa. So excited to have you here. Good morning, Facebook friends and family. Today I am honored to have a guest with me, Gabriella van Rij. And Gabriella is sharing her Dare to Be Kind movement with us today. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Lisa Patrick, and I host the Coffee with Lisa show. I get the wonderful and delightful pleasure of knowing many thought leaders across the world, like Gabriella, and I get to learn from them, and I get to share their experience and their insights with the Facebook community, and also with anybody else who watches this after. So welcome, Gabriella.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
I'm so excited today to share some of your thoughts and insights on kindness and bullying, and I want to talk about your movement today, your Dare to Be Kind movement, and I want to just tell our viewers a little bit more about you. So Gabriella van Rij is a keynote speaker and author of 3 books and top industry expert on kindness. Today, she's going to share her key insights behind you in the founding of the Dare to Be Kind movement. And for those of you who don't know and hadn't seen the Dr. Phil show, she was a guest on the Dr. Phil. And she's going to talk a little bit more about her experiences being plucked from Pakistan orphanage and placed with a Dutch family in Holland. She had a very stormy childhood, and she's got lots of stories to share with us today. Welcome, Gabriella.
Thank you. Yeah, stormy is sure. Childhood, but for the viewers out there, I'd like to explain the reason it's stormy, because back then adoption was unheard of. So today we're lucky in the sense that so many children worldwide get adopted and even cross-culturally adopted, right? We see and hear of, I mean, who hasn't heard from a friend or a friend of a friend who has a child that's adopted? But in my time, basically in 1966, when I got adopted, we think that I am, we don't even think, we almost know that I am one of the first cross-cultural adoptions. And what I mean by that is that it was unheard of, and it was unheard of. And of course, when I got adopted all the way to the Netherlands from Pakistan, you can imagine that people just kind of did not understand what that was. So I got a lot of questions. Why are you adopted? What is adoption? And as a child of 3, I don't think I knew the answers either that they were asking me, you know.
Well, and you don't look at the part of somebody who lived in Holland.
No, absolutely. So my mom is as blonde as you are, and so is my sister. I mean, they're really Dutch, and they're so tall, and I'm this little shrimp of 4'11", and I kept hoping I would grow into a Dutch woman, but you can imagine that even teachers, I was so surprised, and in hindsight, I sometimes think about it, how uneducated we were on this topic, you know, to just have a foreign child, and I'm not even talking skin color, just a foreign child in your classroom, right? It could have been from Denmark, you know, and that would have been a foreign entity too. So that played a big role. So I spent most of my time thinking that I had to defend who I was. And that's a very difficult position to be in as a child, because I don't think as a child you actually know who you are. And it takes a lifetime to get to know yourself and learn and experience and grow. And so I feel that that was really hard on me as a child. And the beauty, though, I think, of having said that is the beauty of everything I learned between, let's say, 2, I remember things out of the orphanage. So from 2 all the way till, let's say, 11, everything that happened is almost what I teach today.
Yeah, yeah. And I often tell, so I have twin daughters, and I often tell my daughters that our experience is who shapes us as we grow, and we change as we grow. And, there's lots of things that happen. I mean, my daughters are in grade 7 right now, twin daughters. So there's a whole nother encompassing thing that happens when you're twins, never mind girls. And so when you were on the Dr. Phil show, you talked a lot about bullying. And there's a difference. There's bullying, and then there's being mean. And there's a difference between the two.
I always say, personally, I don't like the word bully. I really, really don't. So I use the word instigator because I've been out there for quite a while. And the reason I use the word instigator is because we're all an instigator of something.
Yeah.
Right? It can be good, it can be bad, it can be ugly, it can be mean, like you just said, but it can be kind, but it can all be an instigator of something. So when I explain that, people take a step back and are way more relaxed, because what we do wrong, for me, in all the school systems, and don't think that I am saying North America only, I'm really saying this worldwide. I see this everywhere. The school system, what they do is they actually aggravate the problem, because they don't, they kind of single out that bully, and then, everyone hails the victim and nothing gets solved. Definitely nothing gets solved. Whereas when you come from the point of the instigator and you do an intervention, like I call it, I don't let the victim talk first. I always say to the victim, just be quiet for a second. You get your turn, I promise. And then if I'm allowed to, because in North America we have the thing that we're not allowed to touch children, which I think is a great shame coming from Europe. So tentatively, I put my hand on their knee, boy or girl, doesn't matter what age. They're usually way taller than I am, but I don't care. And so I put my hand on their knee and I say 3 simple words. I think it's 3, maybe it's 4. I say, who hurt you so badly? That's it. And I sit back and I wait and I watch magic. I really watch magic, because they are expecting you to go after them. And they're so used to that. They're ready for that. But they're never ready for the opposite, right? Which I love. And I always love saying evoke, because what I do at that moment is I evoke in that human being a thought of, oh my God, she's actually asking me how I am.
Yeah.
And
That's a really good way of looking at it, because you're dealing with the instigator by evoking an emotion within them that they're not expecting to feel in that moment, in that experience. And that changes, I would suspect, that changes the whole dynamic of what happens afterwards.
Totally. It's so beautiful, Lisa. It's amazing. The victim just kind of sits there going, huh? Because they're ready that I pounce too, right? Because they're used to that too. It's all habit forming. Yeah. And the instigator says, first kind of pretty rough tone, are you kidding me? And some other nasty things. And I say, no, I'm not kidding. I want to know. And then they're very quiet. And then usually the floodgates open and I get suddenly a 3-year-old in front of me that just says, well, this and this happens in my household, or I lost my dad, or whatever it is.
It happens to be.
Yeah.
And I would suspect then that same principle applies with adults. I mean, we don't have to be a child to be bullied or to feel bullied. We can happens. I mean, I know that you talk to a lot of corporate companies and you do a lot of work around, in corporations and within teams, and you can be an adult and be bullied. And
you can be harassed as an adult, and especially something very, very interesting. As an adult, I have noticed that a lot of adults decide to bully with silence. And I always say silence is complicity, right? Because people don't realize that that block of silence at the coffee space, right?
Yeah.
When someone walks in is the most horrendous way to feel, because you step in, everyone goes quiet. And if it's only once, okay. But
Yeah.
when it's consistent, I always tell the adults in the corporate world, that is harassment. And we feel it so strongly that we think, is something wrong? You know, it's first your dress, or as a woman, of course, or the guy goes, what's wrong with my tie or my suit? And that's the rotten part of all of us, is we actually really believe that we did something.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't do anything at all, because sometimes it's just that the other is fearful. And that is what I explain to children and adults alike. Fear is the biggest motivator. And it's motivator to exclude, not include. So for us to be inclusive, I've only found one way, and that's kindness.
Yeah.
If it was so easy to do, we would all do it. But kindness is often an afterthought, like, oh, I could have done it better, right?
Yeah.
But in the sphere, and whether it's bullying, whether it's harassment, whether it's almost every social topic that you can think of today, at the root of the problem is, if you want to say it this way, is a person that feels so disconnected, a person that is broken. And the brokenness translates either in aggression or translate into depression. Now we can go to the opposite side.
Yeah.
Most of us, and this is really important for, I think, everyone to understand. You know, I love my manager because she's very black and white. And so for me, he is a great source of laughter, because I live right in the middle and people don't understand that. So I always say, if you live only black and white, you only live at the edges of life, because you're always at an extreme. Whereas in the middle, for me, it's not a gray area. It's all the colors of the rainbow. It's where life happens, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can find a way to be in an emotional space in the middle, then, my goodness, I really believe, I'm not saying that you have eternal happiness or something. I have sad moments or best moments, but you live more, I feel like I live more with me, because I don't get pulled into that white area or the black area. I just kind of stay, and I'm not neutral. I'm too passionate to be neutral. So I'm not saying that it's a neutral space. It's just a space where life can go into so many directions.
Well, and I think too, we're later in our life, so to speak, and so we have some self-reflection. But I would suspect there is some consistency in the instigators that don't necessarily know why they're the instigator.
Okay, I can tell you what I teach. And what I teach about instigators, or why, is, I call it action reaction. So we spend 90% of our lives, I would say 99, but I don't dare. Let's go for 90. Let's be positive here. 90% of us spend our days reacting to others. Yeah. So the traffic is one. I live in LA, so you can imagine, honk, honk. You don't go fast enough. And so that is an easy example, of course. But by the time you get to work, by the time you get to school, it doesn't matter what age bracket you are, you have stress levels. But what I try to teach is that it doesn't need to be the stress levels. You know there's traffic. You know there's a world around you. Chill. Let the world unfold. No matter how irritating, let it unfold, because it's not going to change, but you can change your attitude towards it. Absolutely. And that goes for everyone. If you're my colleague, right? And you come to work and you're really grumpy with me, and instead of saying, well, Lisa, what the heck happened to you? No, just again, take that position. Lisa, bad evening, bad morning. And you go, yeah, I had my earful. then I know, right? And actually out of that communication, no matter if that was 30 seconds, I can be kind because now I understand. But when I don't understand, that's when the reaction comes. But
Absolutely.
we do not take that. We actually don't dare to ask you why you're grumpy. So,
well, and there's a big difference between being kind and being nice.
yes, absolutely. And that's what's so funny again. We travel a lot, and my manager does all the logistics, which is awesome. And
can I have her as my manager?
and she does all that stuff. And what is really funny is we get asked, and the question started here, but in Europe, we got the question even more. And they said to her, well, are you in the kindness business? And it was kind of funny the way they said it.
Yeah.
And she burst into laughter. She got a dose of humor. And she said, no, I'm only nice. I leave kindness up to Gabriella. And they laughed. First, you had this kind of like, she works for Gabriella. And and this is the beauty. You got to let people be who they are. Yeah. And I actually really like her answer, because for me, nice is what I call random acts of kindness. That is what we actually do spontaneously. For example, opening the door, saying thank you. The etiquette part of our lives is what nice is to me. That's the most easy explained. So the etiquette equals nice. We grew up, you're teaching your twins every day to say thank you when they receive something, to look in someone's eyes, to shake their hand, not to just go whatever and then turn around, right? I know you do. You probably nonstop. And so what is beautiful about that is etiquette. That's not being kind. That should, or I hope, is ingrained in our education. And that comes from the home. And that you bring into school. And then what does school do? They reinforce it, right? They reinforce that etiquette. Because without etiquette, let's be honest, we'd all be kind of like animal-like. And that is what sets us apart, right?
Absolutely. And I think in today's day, we're starting to lose what is etiquette.
Yes.
With our younger. But etiquette is nice. So if etiquette is nice, what's kindness?
Well, kindness is to go out of your way. And I always say the first thing is you have to see it. You have to really see a person. So for example, this is an easy one. You sit in a restaurant, and we see this every day without seeing it, but we see it. A group of tourists or a family reunion, and they desperately try to take a selfie, really. I am the first in a restaurant that already got up.
Yeah.
I'm the first that offers, even if they speak a foreign language. 9 out of 10 they do, actually. And let me tell you, my Japanese, my Chinese is not good.
Well, it'd be better than mine because I don't speak any.
And so it's like, I point to the phone, I point to me, and I go like this, and they get it. It's universal. And they go, oh, thank you. Yeah. And I'm like, I always feel it's such a little thing, but you took that one moment to see it. You are that one person that brought that one kindness. And what is even more beautiful, you gave them a memory.
Yeah.
Right? You might think it's nothing, but you walk away and you know that there is a memory in that picture.
Yeah.
And you're attached to the memory.
Do you know a gentleman by the name of Drew Dudley? He's a leadership expert. So Drew, he has a famous TED Talk, and it's called Lollipop Moments. Okay. And Drew would say in that specific moment, that was a lollipop moment.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But the beauty is, and this is what people don't get, kindness is not weakness. Kindness is strength. Because again, I have to dare to put myself.
It takes courage to do that.
And if they say no, that happens to me. They sometimes say, we want to take a crazy selfie. And I said, got it. I really do. I get that too, right? They want us all to look weird. And so I get that. They don't want a beautiful shot. But some of us are really scared. And so we're so scared of rejection that we don't take that moment.
Yeah.
The first thing is seeing it. I think most of us don't see it. And another thing of kindness, and this is more difficult to do, and I hope your viewers relate to this, is think of all the people that we have in a 2-mile radius around us that we don't see.
Yeah.
Don't see at all until they're gone. So think of the person that gives you, that stamps your ticket every day in the parking lot on the way out. You see them, you don't see them, right? You're on your way out, you want home, you're thinking, you're already, and if you're a woman, you're multitasking, except me, I'm not a multitasker.
Well, we have a viewer that has just said, letting the person behind you in the grocery store who is behind you and has a few items go ahead of you and your cart is full, doing something above what is expected. And so is that niceness or is that kindness? I say kind.
Because he went out, see, kindness is going out of your way to do that little bit more.
Yeah.
And out of that little bit more, I think for me, it starts with kindness, which is innate. And out of kindness comes compassion, empathy, and all those good things. And at the end, for me, you have love, right? So it's all those little scales. And like, I'm not a psychologist, but this is the way I figured it out in my little head when I was a child, that is how it goes. And kindness, honestly, I've done it millions of times. Sometimes I can't because I'm grumpy.
Yeah.
9 out of 10, I've gone always that extra mile, and I have never, ever regretted it. And I have never received anything in return except my own happiness that came from it.
And the sense of pure love and joy for supporting and helping a stranger sometimes is the reward in itself, right?
Yes.
So for those of you who are just tuning in right now, my name's Lisa Patrick, and this is Gabriella van Rij. Gabriella van Rij is the world leading authority on kindness. And she started a movement called the Dare to Be Kind movement. So I really want to make sure that if you're out there and you're watching us, and if you've got a question for Gabriella, please post it in the comments. I'll happily ask. And if you could tag Dare to Be Kind and share this feed, we would greatly appreciate it as your act of kindness.
That would be awesome. So
tell me a little bit more, Gabriella, about your movement. How did your movement start? How did you become, first of all, the world leading authority in kindness? And then how did that progress to a movement of Dare to Be Kind?
Well, I always say 2 things that I say on stage. The first thing I say is that I took my own pain, made it into my greatest strength, which in turn makes all of us, not just me, all of us, the cause's best ally. So having said that, I came on stages to try to explain our values and our standards. And it was really tough for the audience, no matter what age. It was really tough. So I said, I'm going to make it easier. I'm going to make it visual. So how do you make values and standards easy?
Yeah.
And because the standard comes from the government, that, you know, and the values come from the home.
Yeah.
And so I invented a ball, the ball of human kindness. And on the ball, it said, we as a society have dropped the ball on human kindness. And the other side said, will you help me pick it up? And I started bouncing it. And I said, we dropped the value, and people got it. And we dropped kindness. They got it. They got that we live in this fast-paced world. And they gravitated towards the ball. And then I started the Dare to Be Kind campaign with the ball. And I've done that ever since 2012. And it just grew and grew until my team said a movement. So the movement kind of found me because people started reacting. And again, not everyone reacts positively. So I want to be honest about that. But when they don't react positively, what is always interesting, I put a picture out for an interview with the Dubai television, I think it was a month ago. And someone commented that I had too much facial hair, and so I should basically wax my face.
Oh my.
My makeup artist got really upset and actually phoned me. And he said, "You looked so sweet. I loved the interview." I said, "But you're taking it personal. It's not personal. Aren't we allowed to communicate our opinion without judgment?" So I answered to the guy back. It was a gentleman. Don't know him, on Facebook, we don't know everyone. I answered back, "You're probably right, but you know what? I feel very good in who I am. And I teach ownership of one's uniqueness. And my heritage makes me obviously a little bit more hairy than most." It's there would never be light at the end of that tunnel.
Great for laser therapy.
Yes, I would be their number one client, but I decided to just be me. Right. And that it's okay. And the beauty of it is my conversation with that man was, of course, on the feed, and it got attention. But what is more beautiful is he changed his mind. Yeah. And that's all we can do. I think we are all one perception away from understanding the other. So all I hope to achieve is that we all have our perceptions, take the blinders off for that 1 second to truly listen. And then we learn. We learn something so valuable. I learn something every day.
I think that's so important. I think that, you said something that really resonates with me. Listen. People don't take time anymore. We have such a busy lifestyle. We have all this technology and we forget to actually listen to the words and to the nonverbal language that's occurring when we're having a conversation. And that's really important.
And I also think we don't value that person by doing it. And so I think one more thing that's really important is, for me, why I started that movement is no human being on this planet, I only know Earth, well, maybe we'll know Mars one day. Maybe. So that's
maybe we'll go to the moon with Sir Richard Branson in his new plane.
Interviews there. Right now, no human being should ever be unnoticed, unwanted, and unloved. Yeah. There should always be one person in any human being's life. And when that doesn't exist, I am of the opinion that devastating effects happen in this world, devastating things. Yeah. And we see it every day. We hear it every day. And by seeing and hearing it, I think we become so numb that we forget the cause root. And I could have been one of those people. And so for me, I say to myself, we need to start early. We need to start with those kids. Just because my passion it's just so heartbreaking to see a kid all alone. And we think, okay, they have parents or they're in a foster home, they're taken care of. But we forget there's more to clothing and feeding. Yeah. And I think that is where we drop the ball.
I think so too.
Bring that back, that little inkling. It sounds so simple, but that happens to the adults. The adults I meet in corporates miss that foundation. I personally missed that foundation. Of course I got fed, and of course my family was nice. It just didn't work out. But that doesn't mean that my family is a rotten family. They're not. It was an era, a certain time, and it is what it is.
Well, and I really do believe that everything in our life happens for a reason. And there'll be people out there who don't agree with that. But I truly, genuinely believe that. And I believe that your path of what happened to you has led to your success, to the Dare to Be Kind movement. And that movement is so vitally important. It happens in the schools, it happens in corporate, it happens, at the water cooler, those random acts of kindness that might be perceived as nice or the random acts or acts of kindness that we see, those lollipop moments that we engage in, are so vital to the success of our society moving forward.
Absolutely. But what is vital is that we can't start thinking of us as individuals anymore. Yes, I'm an individual. Yes, I have a voice. But together we have, first of all, more voices, but together it's in the vulnerability of sharing. If I shared a very vulnerable story with you, then more than one thing would happen. Not only could I get it off my chest by having someone listen without judgment, without trying to fix it either. I always say to parents, please do not interrupt your children by saying, but in my day. Because that's the biggest thing I hear out there for children. And because you have to, I thought.
And I do actually say that, but in my day, this is what happened. This is how we reacted. That's not how I want you to react today, but that's how
we end up doing.
Yeah.
We end up cutting them off. It's the same thing. If I cry and you walk in and you see it and you actually touch me, we do it naturally. Yeah. You actually cut off the emotion without knowing it. So I always say, when you see someone in distress, leave them in their space, because it's the kind of thing you can do. And I usually end up sitting with them.
That's interesting, because that philosophy, Gabriella, when I was taking my law enforcement training, and I was working in sex crimes at the time, and one of the detective, his name was Wally Mailman, and I don't know, obviously he's probably retired now, but because this is a number of years ago, but he worked a lot with prostitutes. And one of the things that he had told me, and I just thought of this right now as you said that, is he said, when they're talking, never, ever, ever offer them a Kleenex. And I looked at him like, why? And he said, because you're going to stop them from what they're saying to you, and I need to listen to what they're telling me. Yep. So that just trick absolutely makes perfect sense.
But you can, I always explain it by saying, when a little child falls on the street, what do all of us do? Men and women, all of us. We take the little injury and we do this, right? Yeah. And what does the child do? It forgets it, because there's actually another action. And that little principle goes everywhere in all our lives. And it's so funny, because we want to hug. We want to take people's pain away. I think we, as human beings, have the hardest time in seeing pain in another person. And that's why we do it. Yeah. But we don't take away their pain. We actually shoved it back down. And we need to let it out, no matter how hard it is for us to actually listen to it, because it's heartbreaking. Yeah. And I wanted to just touch on something that you said that I thought was really beautiful. You said, your path kind of gets you to where you are. And I've moved around in the world quite a bit. Yeah. Last year, I met two girlfriends that I knew, one in elementary and one in high school. And both of them were not astonished at what I do. So it was funny that all the childhood friends said, yeah, we knew this. And I'm like, you did? Before me then. But when I ask my parents, they say, it's so strange that you do what you do. See? Again, everyone's perception is different.
Well, and their perception of your childhood and your upbringing, everything, is probably very different than how you perceived what had happened over the many years. So one of the things that we talk about, you place a lot of emphasis on kindness being the key to safer communities and better relationships. But what do you feel prevents us from taking the next step to being kind to each other?
Fear.
And we talked a little bit about that. So you believe fear.
Yes. Fear of each other. Just look at politics.
Yeah.
See, for me, I taught people not to be fearful of me or my color, right? And I had to. for the simple reason that I had to, because I didn't go home with a family that looked like me.
Yeah.
So I had to find a way. I know that sounds odd, but in a way, and I always say this to people, you might live in a foreign country, but when you go home, you are still, the moment you open that key, you are in India, you are in Armenia, you are in China, because everyone in your home speaks that language and understands your culture and breathes it. In my case, that was not so.
Yeah.
So I learned that, I really learned at a very young age that they were fearful of me as much as I was fearful of them. I was more kind of like scared. And they were fearful. I give you the most beautiful example, is they asked to see, the first question was I brown all over? That might, yeah, but you know, for a child, I think it's a really smart question.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, and I kind of went like you, it's pretty dumb. And I said it, and they all went, no. And because they were a bigger group, I went, okay, it's not dumb. Call them dumb, that's not very kind. You know, and I remember thinking, wow, see, this is where we need to educate.
Yeah.
It's just in. I had an adult man only date me to find out if we looked the same naked. So this is a child, this is an adult. And so I hereby officially—
I hope you're not still dating him.
That was one time.
Was it a swipe up and then a swipe left? I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I wasn't very kind. I was a little bit sarcastic. I have a little sarcastic edge there sometimes, and I just went out. But I did educate him in those 5 seconds.
So, Gabriella, one of the things that you really talk about lots in many of your interviews and on the, is about how women have to stop apologizing for who we are. And I really believe that. I think that we have to love what we are, no matter what size we are, no matter what shape we are, no matter what we are. We have to love as much on the outside as we do on the inside. And so what is your advice for women? And why do you tell them we have to stop apologizing for who we are?
Well, first of all, when they hear it, they laugh because they know it's true. And so they have this big laughter. Two things that stand in the way. If you're a young woman today listening to this and you're like between 20 and 30 and you're going to raise girls yourself, remember that you're not raising a perfect human being. And women somehow think they have to be the perfect spouse, the perfect at what they do in their job, CEO, the perfect mom. Yeah. There's always perfect. That doesn't exist. And you set yourself up. And so they need to be on the board of something. They need to volunteer somewhere. And before they know it, their cup is empty.
Yeah.
And then they keep apologizing. Oh, honey, I'm late for dinner. I'm late. I'll cook it up real quickly. No. Say, honey, I'm going to be late. Could you cook up something? That's a good one, isn't it?
It is.
At least call pizza. Something. And we don't do this because it was ingrained, I think, for our age group. This was ingrained into us to never say no, because no is not kind, it's not nice, it's not proper. Well, no, even I still have sometimes a hard time saying no. And in my profession, now when I say no, they say you're not kind. And I say, I actually am, because I'm trying to be kind to me. When I can't, I can't. When I can, I will. And so when they stop apologizing, two things women say to me. Oh my God, they say, I say that all day long. And I said, now that you know, the first technique is to start noticing. Where do you do it? Do you do it in your job? Do you do it in your household? Do you do it for your kids? Yeah. Because it's silly to say to a kid, oh, sorry, I didn't wash that last night. Come on, in today's world, that's a sorry that we can drop. Now, sorry for not having done something in the boardroom at work. I always suggest, let's not go into defense mode. That's also a way not to say sorry. Just say, yes, I failed. I'll do better next time.
Yeah.
That I like more. It gives you more strength. Every man and woman in that boardroom understands, has more empathy for that than when you say, yeah, but I was dated, my little baby cried.
Yeah. Well, you're holding yourself accountable, right? And accountability will build credibility, and it builds value, like worth, your own self-worth, I think, as well, because you're holding yourself accountable.
And one more thing that I hope for women, I really hope this, women throw each other under the bus more than men do.
Yeah.
And that really saddens me.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even your friends sometimes, is that the dress you're really wearing tonight? It's not necessary.
Yeah.
Leave people alone. Then don't give the compliment. That's better in that sense than talking.
Yeah.
And I think if we do that on a regular basis, by just doing it to ourselves, we're going to be nicer and kinder to the other women. Because I really believe that women together are a powerhouse.
Yeah.
But we need to drop the judgment. And it's so hard to do. But I have a trick, and the trick is just think of that 1 second before you get it out of your mouth that her dress or her suit is not appropriate. Just remember when you had a bad day.
Yeah.
And remember.
That's good advice. Very good advice.
And then let it go.
So Gabriella, and I think that's part of the dare to be kind, right? Have the courage to be kind. And, that's part of what the movement that you're trying to convey. So for the viewers that are watching right now, where can they go to find more about you and more about the movement?
So daretobekindmovement.com is the website. If you don't find it, go to Dare to Be Kind, Google it on Facebook, and you'll find it too. We have both a Facebook page, we have an Instagram, we have a closed group where we do a little bit more intimate sharing. And the whole purpose of this is to speak up and be a beacon of hope to others. And by doing that, by sharing our stories, like I did with the skin and are you brown all over, you, without knowing it, you're helping someone else in the world, because that's what's beautiful about our technology, to say, there's nothing wrong with me. Wow. I'm seeing that story. I don't feel alone anymore. And so we encourage you. And if you feel that you can't write people, don't worry. We have video, we have audio, you can do it any way you want. If you just want to share an anecdote, but just make sure that in the good, the bad, and the ugly of the stories, find something in hindsight that you would like to give to the other person. No matter how, because there are a lot of ugly and heart-wrenching stories. Tell them.
We just have to, all we have to do is turn on the news. And, we're inundated with ugliness and terribleness and everything. And very few, or not very often, will we turn on the news and find a dare to be kind moment.
Yes. And the dare to be kind moment is when you actually dare speak up and share your story. Because I believe in that vulnerability, we have healed more than one person. And that's how we create that safer community. For us, the mission is a safer world. The method is kindness, and the vehicle is you. The movement is not mine. The movement is of everyone.
Of everyone, absolutely. Well, thank you. So for the viewers that are watching right now, we've got several online right now. So if you'd like to share your act of kindness, that would be fantastic. Go to daretobekindmovement.com. And for those of you who are looking to seek some extra help, perhaps from Gabriella, please reach out to her directly at gabriellavanrij.com, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. All right, well, that wraps us up for today. I just want to leave with one moment of one of our viewers who says, we all need and want connection.
Yes. We actually, there are psychologists that wrote about it. Without social connection, we actually really become nobody. We are depressed. We need others.
Yeah. Well, look at babies. When babies are born, and just the act of physically touching a child and the difference that makes on the baby's development. Brand new, right?
And one thing for your viewers, again, don't forget, you lose maybe 3 minutes of your time to do that act. What is 3 minutes in a day? And
Exactly.
all the acts have nothing to do with money, by the way. Nothing. It is about giving your time.
It's about love.
Yeah. But love is giving your time.
Well, thank you very much, Gabriella. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and for those of you who will be watching this later. And